Hello, this is the Monotone Centrist. This is going to be a different topic of me talking about my experiences at Amazon. I worked there for like 2 years before going to my other job. I did take a pay cut of like 50 cents or something. That was like $12 and I was earning like 12.50 there, but the job is clearly way closer to me than Amazon was. It was like Amazon was like a 45-minute drive and this was 20-minute drive and I was taking like a 50-cent cut and I was like fuck, like just screw that. I'm going to go with this other place and it was a lot easier for me. That was one of the big things. I was a picker. They had different positions: picker, counter, and stower. That's this my particular Amazon where I went. I won't exactly say what location or anything like that. I'm not working with them, and anything I say against them is just my personal opinion. I don't feel like getting sued by Amazon. So a little disclaimer there. But the picker had the largest rate in the whole building, which is 308. And that's 308 units every hour for 10 hours. So that's quite a bit, and you can't fuck up. They say that they don't want robots working there, but that's kind of fucking a lie. Like you have to be kind of perfect. If even if you're doing like 310, like just barely over, that's 3,100, shit that you're doing every day for 4 days. So that's quite a bit of production. That's 12,400, units every week. And if you fucked up on one of those, you will get wrote up. Not maybe in your first like 2 or 3 weeks working there, but after that, you would get wrote up for that shit. Like that's way less than 1% of errors. That's insane. Like, let's say, for example, there's a DVD in there and you don't see it, and like the scan, like the barcodes on a like a book or something. That's why they emphasize how you have to scan everything in there because sometimes that those kind of mistakes do happen. Those are kind of like on the rare side, but it does happen. So that's why you have to scan everything in that particular area that you're looking for because those kind of mistakes kind of happen and you'll get written up if you do not put it in the basket and send it on its way. So that's extremely fucking like hard to do while you're maintaining your fucking rate at the same time. Like I was like my rate was like 320, 330 and you just can like coast like you get your like your rate and you just can kind of coast on that all day pretty much, but like the big downside is trying to use the bathroom that's not in your break time, depending on where in your building, this could affect your rate quite a bit, especially if you're in like my range, like 340, 330 kind of range, because if the bathroom's on the other side of the fucking building, 'cause it takes at least 2 minutes, especially if you're on the actual other end of the fucking building. Even if you fast walk, which they encourage you to do, you can't run in the building, but you can fast walk as humanly as possible, and you're fine. As long as your feet don't like kind of leave like the ground too much, they won't get mad at you and say anything to you. But at the bare minimum, it probably take you at least 2 minutes to get down there, and 2 minutes to use the bathroom, 2 minutes to come back. So we're already at 6 minutes if you're fucking fast, mind you. That's like the bare minimum of time, and that does affect your rate. If you're like even a conservative time of 8 to 10 minutes, which is kind of long. You don't think that would be long, but it's kind of a long time if you're doing production like that. That's I think one of the major downsides, and it was pretty physical. It was kind of hard. It was not like the easiest thing to do, and a lot of people were quit because of the kind of like the physical thing. I'm like I've been in physical labor before. And this shit was kind of hard. I was like, I wanna. I mean, I haven't had physical labor in a while, so maybe that was it. I mean, it's just like even the most like in shape people kind of have a hard time fucking doing this shit because it's not exactly the easiest fucking thing in the world to do. So like a lot of people were fired because got they ran out of time. They give you I think 20 hours of UPT, which is unpaid time, and only like 10 hours of PTO. You can get more. I think 20 hours every 3 months for the UPT, and I can't remember how they did the PTO, but that's only like 2 days. You know, if your car breaks down, you get fucking sick, you're kind of fucked. Family member dies or something. You're kind of screwed. I mean, the smart people would kind of like save this shit up until like December-ish, where like the rush would happen, or Cyber Monday and I think Thanksgiving kind of thing, and take off their time during like the holidays where it was mandatory like 11 hours every day for 4 days straight. It was also a hard thing to do. So like it was kind of hard to save your fucking time because that shit was really hard, and so 2 weeks of unpaid time and I think vacation you got that rolled over. I mean, I had quite a bit of vacation because I never used it. When I got my final check, it was like $900 because all the fucking vacation I had saved up that I never used that they paid out. But like the managers are pretty fucking useless. At least mine was. My like the second manager. This guy was very young. I mean, he's probably like 21, like fresh out of fucking college. Didn't have any fucking management experience whatsoever. He had like a degree in some random subject I can't remember anymore. But that was pretty much how he got the position. Like he had no manager's experience whatsoever, but they hired him onto this because he had a degree. It didn't matter what a degree was or in. It could have been fucking arts for all we know. I can't fucking remember what it was. But like as long as you had a degree, you can get a leadership uh you know position in there. It was just kind of crazy to think that they would do that, and people so young. Maybe they wanted people that young and like kind of fresh out of college kind of people to mold them or whatever it is. But I remember like the first write up I got, which pissed me off because the circumstances that happened to it. Well, basically what happens, sometimes this happens, like the Kivas will take a long time to leave your station because like there's a bunch of traffic back there or something's in the way and they need to clear something out. And sometimes this lasts for a very long time. And of course that fucks up your production. And that particular time, I got rolled up. I was upset, and I put it on the board. You could put, requests onto the board, and someone higher up in the management will come talk to you. And they basically blamed me for it by saying I should have told the manager that I was having problems with the Kivas, even though they can look it up. I even asked them like, can't you just look this up and tell see that I'm telling the truth? You know, they can. They can absolutely check that particular day or week that I got wrote up to see that I'm telling the truth or not. Now, if I was lying, I would understand me getting, the write up for lying, whatever, But no, they 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 wrote me up anyway. So I was like, what the fuck? Like, well, you should have told the manager. Like, they put the blame on me, not the machines that were fucking up, and they can actually literally fucking check it. It would take maybe 5 minutes at the very fucking most to check if I'm telling the truth or not. But they won't fucking do that. And a lot of shit that pisses a lot of people off. I can see a lot of people getting mad at that and fucking quitting because they just didn't give a fuck. You were just a number. You didn't really have a name. Sure, like the managers aren't like who you worked with would know your name sooner or later, depending on how long you were there, but they would probably not remember you after that unless you were there for years and years and years. But it's kind of fucked up to see how many people go up. Like the overturn rate is insanely high. Like certain months of the year, every day I would come in, there'd be like 50 people waiting to get trained in there. It's like maybe like 2 or 3, maybe 4 months out of the whole year, people would be just lined up, 40, 50 people at the door trying to get in there. That's a lot of fucking overturn, and like the pay rate was kind of shitty. I think it was I can't remember at the time. I think it was $12, and you get a mandatory 25 cents raised every 6 months. So or something like that. I can't fucking remember. It might have been $12. 6 months would be a year. That'd been 50 cents. So I can't. So yeah, that's 2 years. My first year there. Then the 50-cent raise. But it maxed out at, I can't remember, it was like $14 or $15 an hour. But you would have to be there quite a fucking long time to get that. And somehow people would do like 500 fucking rate. I don't understand how people did that fucking phase. Like 350 is maybe my max, and I don't understand how people were so fast to get that. There's no incentive to go faster. So it's maybe to get an extra error. You know, you can get like 2 errors if you're really fast. But other than that, there was no extra pay if you went above 308. So if you're doing 500, you're pretty much overworking yourself. Basically, I mean, I would do 350 at the most. Personally, I mean, because there's nothing to encourage you to do better. Sometimes they would do, you would get opportunities, I guess, a little bit more opportunities if you were faster. But they were so small that you gave they gave this position where you can like kind of manage the floor and not really do much and just do basically do what the assistant managers did, but you wouldn't get to pay for it basically. So that's definitely some horse shit too. I can't remember the position what they called it, but that's pretty much it. They just don't give a fuck about you. There's some I remember this hired this old lady that had to be in her 60s at the very least, 60s, 70s, and they put her on to the picking area, and like this lady, this lady's not going to do 308 every fucking hour, and they put her on to, like, you think common sense would kick in. They put her somewhere else, but once they assigned you something, you couldn't really transfer anywhere else. You had to wait a certain amount of time. I can't remember exactly how long it was now anymore. But to switch, like, certain hours and shifts, you had to wait, then maybe get it. Sometimes you couldn't get it because there's kind of like a waiting line to certain hours and stuff like that. But yeah, there's no way this chick was gonna make it, and they just assigned her the picker role, even though that would probably wouldn't be the smartest role to put her in. Maybe like a counter or store or something like that, something a little bit slower where she can handle it. But they fucking didn't. Like injuries, they didn't give a shit if it didn't happen on during your work. If if you hurt yourself outside of work, they didn't really care. You still had to make certain, unless you had a doctor's note saying you couldn't do the activity that you're assigned or something like that. But they did not give two fucks about you, really. I really don't think they did. But that's pretty much all I have to say about the company. They just think you're a number. Like the rate is fucking ridiculous there. Overturn rate is ridiculous. Definitely not worth the money if you thinking about working for Amazon. Do it for a short period of time, maybe like seasonal or something like that, just to get some extra money for Christmas or something like that. But I wouldn't do it for a living. Maybe now it's a little bit better since it's $15 an hour, but I probably wouldn't do that shit for $15 an hour. I think it's not worth the money, like the effort versus the amount you get paid. But that's just me. That's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you for listening. Right, comment, subscribe.